Good evening, everyone. I'll just wait. There's a few of you just connecting to audio, so I would just let you connect to audio so that you can hear me properly. If you want to switch off your cameras, feel free to. You don't have to look at me. But it is always lovely to see everybody's faces. I do like to see everyone's face. But whilst I'm talking, hi, Sarah's little girl is waving there. Nice to see you. I think Sarah and you came with your little girl to buggy classes when I used to run buggy classes, didn't you, Sarah? I think she was teaching the buggy then. So anyway, yes, so let's get going. I am recording this evening for those people that can't join live. So if you I'm sure it's already told you that I'm recording. So and as I'm letting people in as well, I'm just gonna chat away for a few minutes until everybody is with us. So, but first of all, before I start, I wanted to say thank you so much for being such great participants in last week's 7-day sugar-free challenge. You were all absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely love running those 7 days. So thank you so much for all engaging and supporting each other, and yeah, just making it a really great week to run. So you all were superstars. You've all done really well. So well done. So this evening we're going to talk about the 3 secrets to easy weight management. If you have questions, feel free to put those questions in the chat box, but as soon as I start to share my screen, I can't see those questions, so I will come back to them. So if you've got questions as I'm going along, don't kind of think, oh, I can't answer that. I can't ask, I'm not getting an answer to that question. It's because I can't see them. So I will always come back to them afterwards. But also, I don't want you to forget the question. So just type it in the chat box as soon as you think of it, if you have questions as we go along. So this evening we're going to go for about 45 minutes. I'm going to share the 3 secrets to easy weight management with you, and then we are going to find out who the winners are. That's what you've all come along for, isn't it? To find out who the winners of the competition are. So as I said, thank you everyone for joining me this evening. I do appreciate you all being here. I am going to share my screen. And I think everybody pretty much who is here was doing the 7-day sugar-free challenge last week. But for those of you who may not have been doing the 7-day sugar-free challenge, just to introduce myself, I'm Sue Thomas. I call myself the sugar-free coach now. I've been in the wellness industry for 20 years. My business is Sue Thomas Wellbeing, and I support women to break their addiction to sugar, basically. And I do this through the 7-day sugar-free challenge and my 12-week transformation program, Fed Up to Fabulous, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about as we go through this evening. So I am a wellbeing mentor and coach. I like to call myself. I'm a nutritional therapist. I used to be a personal trainer. So I think, Sarah, when I was running buggy classes, you came to some of my buggy classes many years ago as well, I think, didn't you? And previous to that was in PR and communications. So that's just a little bit about me and my background. And for me, my ethics, my values are very much about being authentic. I have 3 kids. I have a really busy business. And I want you to know that I'm not perfect. I would call myself 90% sugar-free. I wouldn't say I'm 100% sugar-free, but I know the tools that I need to get myself back on track. For example, this weekend, it was my mum's birthday. We did all meet yesterday, and there was some birthday cake involved. And yes, it tasted nice. It doesn't happen on a regular basis, but I'm not going to stop myself enjoying those situations with everybody else. So it isn't about being restrictive, and it isn't about being so controlling. What we're talking about, I try to encourage my clients to think about is to have freedom around food, but to have that freedom with the knowledge of the choices that they're making and how it is going to make them feel, basically. And that is what I've tried to encourage you to think about over the last 7 days. How does food make you feel, particularly your breakfast, and is it getting you from breakfast time to lunchtime? So authenticity is really important for me. Integrity, ethics, all of these kind of things are really part of my values and part of my business. So if you do work with me, you know exactly what you're getting, basically, because you're getting someone who's just like you, who has previously had about 13 years ago, I had a streptococcal knee infection. that resulted in 25 days of antibiotics. And as a result of that, fast forward 4 years, and I was exhausted all the time. I wasn't walking the talk for my clients. I was eating crap because I was so tired all the time. I was having to take a sleep in the afternoon, and it was easy just to eat rubbish. And I realized that because I wasn't walking the talk, I needed to do something to get my own health back on track. How could I be supporting my clients when I was personal training them when I wasn't in the best health myself? And so that is when I created a program for myself to improve my health on a day-to-day basis, which included removing 90% of the sugar from my diet. But it wasn't restrictive. I didn't make it complicated. It had to be easy because my life was busy, my kids were young at the time, and I just wanted to create something that was sustainable and that I could follow long term. And that is what I've turned into the Fed Up to Fabulous program, which I'll tell you a little bit more about as we go through this evening. So this evening we are here to talk about the 3 secrets to easy weight management, but they are also the secrets to better sleep, balanced hormones, more energy, less brain fog, less bloating, etc., etc. There's so many benefits to applying these 3 secrets on a day-to-day basis in your life. So the first secret, you are not going to be surprised by this one, is to balance your blood sugars. And when your blood sugars are balanced, as some of you have experienced this week, it can be transformational. So let's just get to grips to begin with what is happening as far as our blood sugars are concerned. So our pancreas, which sits just below our liver, and our liver sits just underneath our ribs on the right-hand side, the pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. Insulin is a hormone, it's made up from proteins, and it's a hormone that is designed to keep your blood sugars from going too high. We need insulin, it's really important. And, 100 years ago, insulin would have been relatively well balanced because we didn't have a huge amount of refined sugar in our diet. But over the last 100 years, as society has changed and as the food industry has changed, we've started to consume more and more sugar on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes we don't even realize we're consuming it. And it's not just about the cakes and the biscuits. It's the sugar that is hidden in sauces and in low-fat yogurts and all those kind of things. But equally as much, it is also those refined carbs that are having the same glucose response, the same insulin response in our body as the sugars are. I was talking to someone the other day, and I can't remember who it was. And oh yeah, it was. I was talking to someone in her Facebook group, and she was saying that she's been doing. She was doing a sugar-free challenge in September as well. It's a lady in Australia, and she's been doing it in her Facebook group as well. And she discovered that tortilla chips actually spiked her blood sugars more than eating a couple of squares of chocolate did. And this is the thing, we think that we're not consuming things that are going to cause our insulin to rise and drop. But actually, sometimes it's those things that we're consuming that are causing our insulin to be released and causing blood glucose spikes. So actually, I should just be clear then, blood glucose and blood sugars are the same thing, essentially. I kind of interchange the words, but blood glucose is what your body needs to function on, and it's what is released from the carbohydrate that we consume. And if you watched my The Truth About Sugar live feed that I did earlier on last week, we have a kind of glucose spectrum. And on one end, we've got greens and reds and oranges. And on the other end, we've got beige and white and alcohol. And the beige and white and alcohol are really easily processed and can quickly spike your blood sugars. The reds and the greens and the oranges, much slower to be processed, much slower to release sugars into your bloodstream. And so therefore, a much slower release of insulin. Now, what we need to understand is what happens when insulin rises in the system and then crashes. So if we are consuming something for breakfast that is causing us to have an insulin spike, let's say it's granola, or let's say it's low sugar muesli, that is causing our blood sugars to rise, and it's resulting in a crash of blood sugars. So when we eat something that is very quickly assimilated in our stomach, and particularly badly first thing in the morning, because first thing in the morning, your stomach is full of hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is designed to break down protein. It's not designed to break down carbohydrate. So if you are eating a more carbohydrate breakfast, the sugars that are in that carbohydrate breakfast will be processed and released very quickly because the hydrochloric acid is breaking the carbohydrate down quickly. And so consequently, you have a very fast flood of sugars into your bloodstream. And your body then says, quick, release insulin. We've got to get rid of all this sugar that's being released into our bloodstream. And so more insulin than probably we need is released. And so we have this first insulin spike, the red picture that you can see on the graph there. The red line, sorry. The red line is that first insulin spike. But because the body releases too much insulin, as quickly as that insulin is released and it picks up the sugars, if we're not using those sugars for energy production, then the insulin very quickly goes out of the bloodstream and drops very quickly, takes the sugars to the liver, and the liver will convert those sugars into triglycerides. And it will store those sugars that is converted into triglycerides. Triglycerides are another term for fat, basically. It will store those sugars as fat. And so it will lay down fat, particularly around your middle and usually on your bottom. If our blood sugars are peaking and troughing, if our insulin is peaking and troughing throughout the course of the day. And it only may be a tiny piece, a little bit of fat at the time, but each time it happens, each time you have another spike in blood sugars and then another crash, you will end up putting on a few more grams, and over time that builds up. But then equally as much, if you have these spikes in blood sugars, when insulin is really high in the system, insulin, being a dominant hormone, will cause the release of a hormone called ghrelin. And ghrelin tells us we're hungry. So if our insulin is going up and down and up and down, we've got constant levels of ghrelin in the system. And as a result, high levels of ghrelin, we will feel permanently hungry. So if you're following a kind of restricted calorie controlled program that is predominantly more sugar than it is kind of protein and fats, then, or predominantly more refined sugars, we should say, because I don't want to exclude carbohydrate in there. Carbohydrate is a really important, I want to exclude all carbohydrates because those reds and greens and oranges are really important. But if we're consuming a diet that a lot of the Slimming Clubs get people to follow, they are based around the complex carbohydrates, which actually is the beige and the white, and those beiges still break down really quickly, still cause a spike in blood sugars and still cause a crash, which causes you to A, convert those sugars into triglycerides, and B, when those triglycerides are converted, put pressure on the liver, and the liver is supposed to convert things back again, so our liver becomes compromised, but B, cause to have high levels of ghrelin in the system. So if you can balance your blood sugars, where you want to be is between these two green lines here. If you can get your blood sugars to be really well balanced so that you're staying within those two green lines throughout the course of the day, then actually you can really begin to see some changes, particularly to bloating. That's the first thing that you notice begins to change. But also you can be a more effective fat burner because you don't have high insulin in the system. So the insulin's not taking the sugars to the liver to convert to triglycerides, and we haven't got high levels of ghrelin in the system. So we're not constantly eating, we're not constantly feeling miserable. We're actually finding that we can cut out the snacking. When we cut out the snacking, we then naturally eat less. So we're less obsessed with calories and more just focused on nourishing the body and getting our blood sugars balanced. We should be focusing on counting nutrients each day and not counting calories. That is where we want to be when it comes to, if we want to count anything, but when it comes up to managing our weight more effectively. But when our blood sugars are balanced, it has a knock-on effect to our sleep. It has a knock-on effect to our hormone balance. If you're someone who's struggled with any kind of hormone imbalance, you will know that insulin, peaks and troughs of insulin, will result in your sex hormones, your estrogen and progesterone, going out of alignment. So we really want to focus on getting blood sugars balanced if we want to be more effective at managing our weight. But it's something that the Slimming Clubs don't focus on. It's other diets feel like they're way too complicated and way too restrictive. all you need to do to manage your weight more effectively is stay away the majority of the time from the processed sugars, from the refined sugars, and to a large extent from the complex carbohydrates that all the slimming clubs like to talk about, that actually are still just processed carbohydrates. Like I keep saying, I could repeat that message over and over again. So where we want to be, if we are looking to balance our blood sugars, if we're looking to manage our weight more effectively, is to get our blood sugars under control. And that in turn will have an impact on how well the liver is functioning. And if the liver is functioning better, it will be able to convert some of the stored fats back to glucose for energy production. You become what's known as metabolically flexible. You can store a bit of fat in times of kind of in leaner times, but then, or in generous times, if you like, but then in leaner times, you can burn it as well. So you can become more metabolically flexible. You can lean on your fat reserves when there's not so much food around, kind of thing. And actually, talking about metabolically flexible, it takes about 20 minutes for your liver to kick in to understand that your blood sugars are dropping. So if you start to get a bit of a hunger pain, obviously you've had the right breakfast, you've had the protein-based breakfast, but if you start to get a bit of a hunger pain, if you set a timer for 20 minutes, go off and do something else, have a drink of water, and I can almost guarantee you won't be hungry after those 20 minutes, because there's just a bit of a lag time for the liver to kick in and to start converting some of those fat reserves back into, into glucose for energy production. So there's lots of benefits to getting your blood sugars balanced. First of all, blood sugars balanced means you're not going to release the ghrelin, so you're not going to feel hungry anywhere near as much. That's the first thing. If insulin is balanced, you're going to release leptin, which is a hormone that burns fat for fuel. It helps you to become metabolically flexible. And you're also going to give your liver a break from continually having to convert the sugars that the insulin has taken to the liver for conversion into triglycerides. You're going to give your liver a break from having to constantly do that. If it's particularly for perimenopausal or menopausal women, if our liver is overworked, that will have a knock-on effect to our hormone balance. Anything going on with our liver will result in it having a knock-on effect to our hormones. And as we go through menopause or perimenopause, we need a liver that's working really healthily. That is a whole other webinar in itself. But the three benefits to balancing your blood sugars then are that you will become more metabolically flexible, you will give your liver a break, you will burn fat for fuel, and you will stop feeling so hungry. Sorry, there's a fly in front of my screen. You will stop feeling as hungry, and you will then become less focused on counting calories and feeling miserable and restricted, and actually focused on nourishing the body and feeling really good. So my top tips, the solutions to getting your blood sugars balanced. Most of you have been practicing the first one this week, eating protein for breakfast. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. It could be any time of day. It could be the first, but it must be the first thing that you eat must be protein. And also add more protein at meal times, because protein doesn't have a relationship with insulin the same way that carbohydrate does. So if you have a good amount of protein on your meal with loads and loads of colors on your plate, that's going to be really steady at blood sugar balance. Now, I talk about you should have 40% carbohydrate, 40% protein, 20% fat on any one plate and any one meal. Well, when we talk about carbohydrate, we don't mean potatoes and pasta. We mean lots and lots of colors in terms of, all the different vegetables and stuff. Those are great sources of carbohydrate. You'll be more energized consuming those forms of carbohydrate than you will consuming pasta and bread. And the things that we've been told for years are the things that give us our energy. Well, actually, they're not. They just make us feel fatigued. They spike our blood sugars, they crash again, and we feel tired, and we end up eating more. What you want to focus on is all those colors on the plate that you've been practicing this week, and lots of good quality protein in the form of chicken and fish and all the plant-based proteins like chickpeas and lentils and things like that. Good quality protein. Eat protein first thing in the day to give that hydrochloric acid a chance to break down the protein before you consume the carbohydrates. Have more protein at meal times, and actually there's a really important order to eat your meals in as well. and you want to be, and we focus on the order and how you eat your meals at in the Fed Up to Fabulous program. Become a food detective as well. Really get to grips with how food makes you feel. Does it make you feel energized in 2 hours time, or are you starting to feel hungry and a bit fatigued again? Because if it's making you feel hungry and a bit fatigued, it's spiked your blood sugars and then it's crashed again and it didn't work for your body. But everybody is different. Not everybody has the same response to foods. Not everyone has the same insulin response. So you have to really get to grips with how food is making you feel. And when you understand what food works for you, you can begin to create a bit of a blueprint for yourself. And so as a result, you've got that blueprint, you know what foods work for you, you know the things to avoid. And it takes the guesswork out of managing our waistline, out of managing our hormones, out of managing our sleep, because we know the foods that work for our metabolic type. And like I said, not every food works for every person. So you have to work out what's going to work for you. Obviously, avoid the refined sugars. That's what we've been doing in the last 7 days. And focus on counting your nutrients, not counting your calories. Focus on how many colors have I got on this plate? How many more colors can I fit on this plate? Focus on that rather than focusing on the calories. When we become obsessed with counting calories, and again, if you watch my live feed on the one thing, the secret the diet industry will never tell you, it was that the calories are calories from carbohydrate have 4 calories per gram compared to calories from fats, which have 9 calories per gram. And basically they take all the fat out of food so that they can give you a food that is only 99 calories and it's got no fat in it. And actually we really need fat. And just because it's got more calories in, it's actually the fact that we've gone low fat is actually really detrimental again to our hormone balance, because our hormones are all made up of fats. So we need good quality fats in our diet. So the food industry focusing on counting calories, it makes us feel miserable. It makes us feel restricted. It makes us feel controlled. And yes, you do need some kind of calorie deficit to be able to manage your weight. Then that's the natural way of managing weight. However, if you're counting your nutrients and not focusing on calories and you're getting your blood sugars balanced, then you don't need to worry about the calories, because there's no way you can eat enough calories, more calories than your body needs, and you'll still be able to manage your weight more effectively because your blood sugars will stay balanced. You won't feel hungry. You won't feel like raiding the kitchen at 11 o'clock at night because you've been so restricted all day and it's just gone bottom up and you just kind of want to eat any sugar that you can get your hands on. Basically, you won't feel like that because your blood sugars will be balanced. You'll be energized throughout the day. You'll be in control of the choices that you make, and you'll feel so much better about yourself. All of these things come as a result of getting your blood sugars balanced. And you would think, well, feeling better about myself is just about losing weight, surely, but actually it's not, because there is a direct link between the amount of sugar you eat and how healthy your intestine is. And there's a direct link between how healthy your intestine is and your brain, because there's a nerve called the vagus nerve that communicates whatever's going on in your intestine comes out in your emotions. So you can be calorie restricted and start to lose weight, but if your intestine's really unhealthy, you can still feel really miserable and just not confident and not fabulous, basically. So if we get all of these things right, if we're eating lots of really colorful food, that's going to feed all the good bacteria in our intestine and help our intestine to balance. That's going to help balance our blood sugars as well. And we're going to feel so much better about ourselves. There's so many reasons, not just about the weight management, but also just in our mindset and how we feel about ourselves. If we can get our blood sugars under control, the knock-on effects, the cascade, if you like, of effects from getting your blood sugars under control go far beyond just managing your weight more easily. And some of you have said in the group this week as well that, that you've lost 3 pounds, or that, your clothes, your trousers feel looser, etc., etc. And all of that is because your blood sugars are starting to balance, your intestine's starting to heal itself, so bloating goes down, and because you've not got these big peaks and troughs of insulin, and insulin is blocking the use of fat for fuel because it's not allowing leptin to be released, then your body's starting to become more metabolically flexible and starting to access some of those fat reserves. So your first secret to easy weight management is to get your blood sugars under control. But you knew that because you did the 7-day sugar-free challenge last week. So what's the second secret? Well, the second secret is to improve your sleep. And actually, to improve your sleep, you need to have your blood sugars under control. And I'll tell you a little bit more why about that in a minute. There is lots of evidence now to suggest that if we have short sleep, anything less than 5 hours a night, it will reduce your life expectancy by up to 15 years. This is an incredible amount of time. It basically could take you from dying at 80 to dying at 65. I had to do the maths then quickly because my brain wasn't functioning properly. But, you know, I don't want to have a short life. I don't want to have 15 years less of my life. So sleep is really important to me. I prioritize sleep. I put it up there as one of the most important parts of my day, basically. It's one of the, I talked about the 5 pillars on, that I think it was possibly the Truth About Sugar or the diet industry will never tell you, but I can't remember. But anyway, the 5 pillars to health are mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration. And the 5th one is sleep. And sleep is super important. So anything less than 5 hours sleep a night is anticipated, or research has shown that it will shorten your life by 15 years. But in the short term, 1 hour less sleep a night can result in massively unbalanced blood sugars the following day, to the point where you'll probably eat up to 500 extra calories the following day without even realizing it. It can make you 40% less productive the following day, particularly from a brain fog perspective. And more scarily, it can start to rewrite some of the DNA, it can begin to change some of your DNA, it can switch off some of the genes that you don't want switched, that you want switched on, and it switches on some of the genes that you don't want switched on, if that makes sense. It switches off some of the important genes and it switches on some of the not so important genes, the ones that can cause damage, basically. And that's just 1 hour less sleep a night consistently. We should be going to bed by 10 to 10:30 at the latest, 10 o'clock ideally, and we should be getting our first sleep cycle before midnight. So our circadian rhythms want us to have 90 minutes of sleep before midnight. And in that sleep, we will go into a deep quality sleep and the brain will clean. All the waste matter gets cleared, all the synapses get reconnected, everything kind of, the brain, it has these huge brain waves that kind of wash across the brain and clean everything. There's lots of research now to show that poor quality sleep, years of poor quality sleep, can link to Alzheimer's and dementia. So the brain gets that real kind of clean up, spring clean, if you like, every night before midnight. And then the next sleep cycle is when the liver really starts to do the jobs it needs to do and detoxifies all the chemicals we've been exposed to during the day. The muscles start to clean. We have these big cleaning waves that pass through the body as well. And all the muscle fibers begin to knit back together. There's lots of research to show that recovery from muscle injury is much quicker if we're getting decent quality sleep. But more importantly, I lost my train of thought then. I was going to talk about what happens. Oh yes, and the liver, that was what I was going to talk about. More importantly, when the liver is detoxifying, it needs the body to be in a really deep sleep. And if it can't do the jobs that it needs to do, it brings the body back into a lighter phase of sleep. So you don't get the healing benefits to the rest of the body. And also 9 times out of 10, it will disrupt the quality of your sleep through the course of the night. So if you're waking between 1 and 3, that's a sign that your liver's not working efficiently. And you're basically, your liver needs some help. So as you come into that lighter phase of sleep, the liver brings you into lighter sleep. That's when you wake up and then you struggle to get back to sleep. And so your sleep quality is compromised by the fact that your liver is not working efficiently. So even if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock, you might still be waking up through the night and still not getting your full 7 hours a night because your liver is all over the place and trying to detoxify the chemicals that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis. And this is particularly the case for menopausal women or perimenopausal women, because if our sleep is compromised, because the liver is crucial in detoxifying all the chemical estrogens that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, as our hormones change through those perimenopausal and menopausal years, the liver can't do the job it needs to do, and it brings us into that lighter phase of sleep. So it's quite common to have disrupted sleep if you're not looking after your liver when you're in your perimenopause and menopausal years. But sleep is so important. If we're not getting good quality sleep, it's going to have an impact on how we feel the following day. A study was done in Southern California. They took 2 groups of people And one group of people, they were all allowed to eat the same amount of calories, but one group of people were allowed to sleep for 8 hours a night, and the other group of people were only allowed to sleep for 4 hours sleep a night. The group that had the 8 hours sleep lost up to 55% more body fat on this calorie controlled diet than the group that could only have 4 hours sleep. So if you really want to manage your weight more effectively, it involves getting good quality sleep. But as a result of the 4 hours sleep, not only they were only having 4 hours sleep, it was shown that their insulin levels the following day were still on a real roller coaster, no matter what they were eating to try and balance their blood sugars. So yes, they were having protein and stuff, but their blood sugars were still fluctuating the following day, because they didn't get the chance to have a reset. Their body didn't reset itself through the course of the night. So sleep is so important. It is the 5th pillar of health. Do not see sleep as being something that is a disposable commodity. Everybody, particularly perimenopausal or menopausal women, should be prioritizing their sleep, so that the body can clean, so that the liver can start to do the job that it needs to do. Hormones can come back into balance, and we can feel more energized, we can feel less brain fog, we can feel more focused every single day. So improving your sleep is absolutely critical if you want to manage your weight more effectively. So how do you get better sleep? Well, first of all, get into a regular sleep routine. That would be my first recommendation. So be going to bed at the same time every night for an hour or so beforehand. Start to reduce down the intensity of the light so that your melatonin can be produced, because melatonin is produced in relation to how much light is going into your eyes. And also come away from the blue light devices like phones and iPads and things at least an hour before you go to bed, because these hitting the back of the eyes tell us that it's daytime, and so the body then naturally releases a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is really important, but if it rises too high in the system, can become really quite toxic. And if we're on our phones late into the evening, that blue light is released, is hitting the back of our eyes. Cortisol is released. The body thinks it's daytime rather than nighttime. We don't release melatonin. We don't release growth hormone, which is a hormone that is also needed to go into decent quality sleep. And as a result, our sleep is compromised. You'll only ever go into stage 1 or 2 sleep if you're using your phones late into the evening. And there's nothing happens in stage 1 or 2 sleep. Everything happens in stage 3 or 4 sleep, which is the deep sleep, which we don't get into if cortisol is high in the system. Keep the room quite cool. Improve your liver function. I've talked about that already. A really easy way to start improving your liver function is to focus on having half a lemon squeezed into some warm water first thing in the morning, and that'll begin to flush your liver through and begin to clear your liver out. It's not uncommon to have a compromised liver function in 21st century life, simply because we're exposed to so many toxins on a day-to-day basis. And so our liver is having to work overtime now. Doing a kind of a liver cleanse, if you like, over a period of time is really helpful. So cutting out sugar, having lots of green food in our diet, because the liver is a green organ in Chinese medicine, getting our blood sugars balanced. All of these things are critical for helping the liver to function more effectively. Make sure you're eating before 7 o'clock as well in the evening, because this is another really important one, because if we are eating later into the evening, insulin is high in the system. And as I said already, insulin is a dominant hormone. And if insulin is high in the system, it will prevent the body from producing growth hormone, which is a hormone that's vital for getting into the stage 3 or 4 sleep. So if you can be eating earlier into the evening and not eating late into the evening, your insulin levels are naturally dropping, which means you will then start to produce growth hormone, which means you will get better quality sleep. These are some simple things that you can do right now that will really help you to improve your sleep on a day-to-day basis. And obviously, get your blood sugars balanced. That goes without saying, because obviously if insulin is nicely balanced, it's not going to have an impact on the hormones that are needed to be produced for good quality sleep. Sorry. So you have your first secret, which is to get your blood sugars balanced, which actually, like I said at the beginning, wasn't really a secret, was it? Because that was what you were doing last week. But the second is sleep, and it's so important. It really is such an important element to improving our long-term well-being. If you are someone that says, well, I sleep okay, if I asked you the question, do you wake up in the morning and feel refreshed? Do you sit on the sofa in the evening and start to drop off to sleep? you're probably not getting the deep quality sleep that allows your body to have the energy and to function efficiently every day. So you really want to be waking up in the morning when the alarm, just before the alarm goes off, and ready to get up and ready to hit the day. But if you're someone who keeps hitting snooze and you never feel refreshed, even though you think you've had good sleep, you may not be getting into that stage 3 and 4 sleep. And stage 3 and 4 sleep is definitely supported by good liver function and balanced blood sugars. So our third secret to easy weight management is to have the self-belief. And we focused a little bit on this at the beginning of the 7-day sugar-free challenge. And that was the 3 positive words and setting those goals and knowing where you were going, but believing in yourself and being accountable. So we're 95% more likely to achieve success if we are accountable to someone. And a lot of you saw that this week, the benefit of having the group. And there were a couple of posts, I think, earlier on this evening where you said that you automatically went back into challenge is over, don't need to worry about it anymore, so I'm going to start snacking again. Actually, last week, one of the things that kept you focused was the fact that you had accountability to the group, and that helps you to achieve success. If you tell someone else what you are doing and yet they hold you accountable, you're going to be 95% more likely to achieve that success. Spend time with the people who have the same focus as you. So get a network of support around you to really help you achieve what you want to achieve. If you're all working towards the same goal and you're working together to achieve that, you've got that network of support, you're going to keep going, because there's a level of competitiveness in there, but there's also this real feeling of support that as women, that's what we create. We create this level of support for each other. We really want each other to succeed. And then you create the right mindset for success. You have that self-belief, you have that mindset around, I can do this, I'm feeling good, and focus on the positivity rather than this feels restrictive, it feels hard, I can't do it. So when you get that group of people around you that want the same thing as you, when you've got that accountability and when you've got that focus around feeling good, feeling strong, making the right choices, nourishing your body, you can really start to move forward as far as your weight management is concerned. I was speaking to someone today who we were talking about the fact that she doesn't understand why she couldn't get her sugar cravings under control. And we were talking about her self-belief, around her own self-belief and who she was as a person. And she didn't feel like she was worthwhile investing in terms of giving her body nourishing food. And she didn't make the connection between it's all about self-respect. And when you respect yourself and you love yourself and you believe in yourself, all you want to do is feed your body all these nourishing foods. It's like having a really nice car. You have a really nice car, you wouldn't dream of putting the wrong fuel in it, and you keep it really clean. And it's the same with our pets. We give our pets really good food, and actually that's what we need to create for ourselves. We need to create that self-respect where we don't see sugar as a treat. We shift away from seeing sugar as a treat, because seeing sugar is actually something that is really not very beneficial to the body. And actually, if we were harsh about it, it's a poison to the body. And actually, who wants to have poison? Who wants to put poison into their body? Let's put all those good, nourishing things into their body, into our bodies, that help our bodies to be the person or the body that we want them to be. And you respect your body. So remove your brain and your body and say, well, as a brain, what would I do to make sure that my body was functioning properly? I'd put all the really good things in, all the really good fuel. And that's where we need to be as far as viewing sugar is concerned. We don't see it as a treat, we see it as a poison, and we start to have more self-respect and more awareness of our body and how foods make us feel, and then feeding our body with really good stuff, and not seeing sugar as the thing that is a treat that, you know, if we do something really good, we then reward ourselves with food. That's not the way to achieve long-term easy weight management. That's not to say you can't ever do it again. Not saying that you should cut sugar out of your diet completely, but when you have the tools to understand what sugar does to you, then it's easier to go, actually, I'm not going to bother with that today because I know it's not going to make me feel that great. And even when I had my piece of cake yesterday for my mum's birthday, this morning I still felt really bloated and really uncomfortable. And I knew that what I'd done yesterday was I'd had sugar, and I knew how it was going to make me feel. I was prepared to accept that. But if you're feeling like that all the time, then it makes actually trying to manage your weight really hard, managing your hormones, managing your sleep becomes really hard. So have that self-belief, create that accountability, get your network of support around you, and create the right mindset for success, and you will be successful. So I want to just share with you my Fed Up to Fabulous program, which is the kind of next natural step on from the 7-day sugar-free challenge. So I'm going to, with your permission, I'm just going to go through this in a little bit of detail now. So Fed Up to Fabulous is 3 21-day modules. So it extends on from the 7-day sugar-free challenge, and we do the first module as a sugar-free module. And we do that over 21 days. So we carry on with the sugar-free focus. We also do a little bit of work on our gut and our liver as well, but that's part of that first 21 days to get your liver working properly and your intestine working properly. Then we have a rest week. So it's designed to kind of work around school holidays as well, for those of you who've got children at school. So if you were going away for a break or what have you, you've got that opportunity to take what we call a rest week. Most people actually might go 80% in that rest week, maybe 90% sugar-free. But in the rest week, you've got a bit of freedom to do what you want to. And then we come into the second 21-day module where we focus on sleep and doing all the things that we need to lengthen our life by 15 years, basically, and to change your sleep from being something that is just about adequate to being something that's deeply refreshing and making you feel good the following day. And then we focus on hormone balance. The third module is on hormone balance. We have another rest week between the sleep module and the hormone balance module. And in the hormone balance module, we really get into grips with deeper liver function, really balancing out menopause symptoms, getting rid of a lot of those menopause symptoms, and really focusing on feeling good and really becoming that kind of fabulous person, full of confidence and feeling great in their clothes. We have, as I say, rest weeks between each module, and we also have 2 balanced meals per module. So we call them balanced meals. Some people call them cheat meals. I decided not to call them cheat meals. I decided to call them balanced meals because it has a more positive connotation. So if you were going out for a meal with family or what have you, you've got that opportunity to have a glass of wine if you wanted to, or to have something sugary if you wanted to as well. And not to feel guilty about it. There's no guilt here. It's all about choice, and it's all about how can we work together to keep moving forward as far as our choices are concerned around food and how it affects the body. So you have those 2 balanced meals per module as well. So there's no restriction here. It's not focused on restriction. It's all about focusing on how can I nourish my body effectively. And then we have a daily goal sheet that you have to achieve each day. There's a tick sheet basically on 5 goals, like we did within the mini challenges. Within the 7-day sugar-free challenge, we have mini goals like that to achieve every day as well. So there's lots and lots of accountability to yourself, but lots of flexibility within the Fed Up to Fabulous program as well. You get a self-care handbook, which guides you through the whole program, a PDF gratitude diary, which can be edited online. And that is all about keeping your head in the right space for success, and a food journal where we can begin to track how food is making you feel and create a blueprint for you going forward, so that when you finish the program, or when you come out that first 3 months, you've got a blueprint for how you know how your body's going to work and how food makes you feel. And you can see just one of the testimonials from one of the ladies that went on the program earlier on this year, permanently tired, going to bed by 10:30, not drinking 10 cups of coffee a day because she was exhausted all the time and she needed to kind of have caffeine to keep her going. 4 inches off her tummy, 1 stone down. Most women lose about a stone to a stone and a half following the Fed Up to Fabulous program. And then you get all this accountability as well. So we do a group wellbeing assessment every Monday evening. We have a Zoom call, a live Zoom call, where you get to ask me questions, and we create a commitment for the week and what we're going to focus on to help hold you accountable. We do a lot of goal setting within the Facebook group as well. And obviously there is a Facebook group that everyone is in. And all the ladies that have gone through Fed Up to Fabulous are in that program as well. So they're there to support you too, because you do get lifetime access with the Fed Up to Fabulous program. So once you're in the program and you've done your first 3 months, you can stay in it long term, and you can repeat it as many times as you want to. And we have daily check-in posts as well, in much the same way as we have done with the sugar-free challenge, just to help keep you on track and to help keep you focused over the course of each 21-day module. each 21 days goes really quickly as well. You think, oh my God, how am I going to manage with that? But actually, once you get into it, it goes really, really quickly. As I said, we have a weekly Q&A session with kind of goal setting on Zoom, a live session. And then I also come into the group and do little bite-sized educational videos in much the same way as I did last week with the diet industry. One thing the diet industry will never tell you, and the truth about sugar. So you start to build up an understanding of how your liver's working, of how your gut's working, of how to get insulin under control. We talk through the kind of the way to eat as far as balancing your blood sugars is concerned, and get you kind of practicing some of those techniques as well. I'm sharing with you all the other techniques that I've got in my kit bag to keep blood sugars really nicely balanced. You get meal plans for every 21-day program session as well, and recipe cards, and then I get everyone to share recipes and stuff into the group as well. So it is like no other program out there, and all we do is focus on getting rid of the sugar. And over the 7-day sugar-free challenge, you've seen how beneficial it is to your body to remove that sugar, to have that accountability, to have that support around you, to ensure that you can be successful. So it's actually a really simple program to follow. It's not complicated. You won't feel restricted. It's a very supportive program, and it gets fabulous results. So the next group starts on the Monday, the 10th of October, so a week today. It's dead easy to follow. It fits into your life. As I said at the beginning, it was the program that I created for myself when I needed to heal my body after I'd had the streptococcal knee infection. And by Christmas, those goals that you set on the first day of the sugar-free challenge, you could be feeling those goals. You could be living those goals. And I really, for your benefit, don't want you to go back to where you were 10 days ago. You've come so far over the last 7 days. You don't want to revert back to those old habits that you had before you started the sugar-free challenge. Places are limited on the program, but you do get lifetime access. I only run this program 3 times a year. So I run it in January, or it launches in January into February. It launches again in April, and then we do it again in September into October. It is an investment in you and your long-term well-being. It's investment in your longevity and not being that person that doesn't have those extra 15 years. It's an investment in putting yourself on the top of the list. As women, we're so bad at putting ourselves so far down the list. But then if we're not functioning, we can't function for everybody else around us. And we need to be functioning for everybody else around us, because in most cases, most women are what hold groups together, what hold families together, etc., etc. So you can see here, I've signed up to Fed Up to Fabulous. It's the best thing I've done this year. Within 2 weeks, I found I had loads more energy, tried on clothes that I'd not yet worn for years. So you can see those results in just 21 days, you know, and you've got 3 cycles of that 21 days as well. Now I'm hoping that Lisa is here. This isn't actually Lisa here. This is another lady, but I don't think she's on tonight. But this is an example of someone who's gone through Fed Up to Fabulous, where she started, and the results at the end of the 3 months. So it's not just about weight management. It's about how you feel, how you look, your self-confidence, your hormone balance, etc., etc. And I'm hoping that Lisa is on here, but I don't. Oh, Lisa
is here. I see.
Right, Lisa, would you? This isn't Lisa on in the it's Teresa. But Lisa, would you please talk through how you got on with the Fed Up to Fabulous program? How did you feel before you started it? How did it work for you? And just share some of the results with us for us.
Okay. Good evening, ladies. I can quite honestly say, before I started Fed Up to Fabulous, I felt absolutely awful. Menopause was not kind to me, and I know everybody has different experiences of menopause, but mine was horrific, to the point that I wasn't sleeping, and everything was a chore, and work was difficult, and I wasn't coping, and it was just absolutely horrid. I was on HRT, and HRT wasn't working for me either. So due to some other health issues, I had a spell where I was on heart medication for a year, and that made me feel rough. And it turned out, because of delays in testing, etc., because of the COVID period, it was very, very bad timing. that actually I didn't need to be on heart meds, and they made me feel dreadful. So whilst I was coming off of those, and I had done the sugar-free program the week that you've just done with Sue, I spoke to my GP and I said, you know what, while you're taking me off of these, I don't want HRT either, thank you very much. And I predominantly went on Fed Up to Fabulous with Sue in order to, because the hormone section and the sleep section, 2 and 3, obviously were going to be very important for me. So that was my key driver for doing it. It wasn't really about food and nutrition, but it turns out that actually is key to everything. And being sugar-free has made a massive difference to my life. I have no thyroid gland. Something else that surprised me that's happened off the back of this is that medication levels that I was on were quite high. And when I was 21, when they removed my thyroid gland, I was 100 micrograms of thyroxine. And over the last period, certainly back end of this year, I have been reduced twice by my GP in terms of the thyroxine, and that is directly attributable to food and not having so much sugar in my diet. Now, that's not to say that I was a big cakey eater. I wasn't eating cakes every day, but just understanding a bit more about nutrition and what it's doing for me has been transformational. Feeling more energized, I feel well nourished, I sleep better off the back of it. And as I say, HRT is completely gone. I don't say I don't have any hot flushes. I do now and again, but I can link that directly to, oh, I might have had something that I wouldn't normally have to eat. So it's something I first did in January of 2022. It is an investment in me. I am worth it, and so are you. And I would encourage anybody, I mean, you know, it's not inconsiderable, sorry Sue, in terms of how much it is, but it's worth every single penny, ladies. And I do, you know, if you can find that money and invest in yourself. You know, I've done the Fed Up to Fabulous program in January. I did it again when Sue ran it in April, and I will be joining again on the 10th of October because it's keeping me accountable. And that's keeping me going. And let me tell you, I've been on diets. I'm 54. I've been on diets for most of my adult life. And I can tell you tons of diets that I've tried. And some of them have been, you know, they're all quick fixes, but they don't stick. But for me, this was the best thing because I didn't intend to lose weight, but I went from a size 14 to a size 12. And really, for me, it was about hormones and hormone balance and sleep. So the weight loss was a happy byproduct. And yeah, massive thank you to Sue, and I will be joining on the 10th of October.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. That's fantastic to hear. And I was just so pleased that you had such incredible results. And I think the benefit of the program is that you do get that lifetime access, don't you? So you can keep repeating it to keep you accountable and to keep you on track. And it's interesting what you say, that it isn't an inconsiderable amount. Of course it is, because you invest in you. But actually, if you work that out over the course of the year, this will be the 3rd time you've done it. Actually, in terms of the investment in you, it's a wise investment, and it's the cost has been spread out over or the benefits have been spread out over the course of the year. I always say that about Sweaty Betty clothes. When I buy Sweaty Betty clothes, costs per wear are kind of tiny because I wear them all the time, and that's exactly what you get with the Fed Up to Fabulous program, because even though the initial investment feels like it's quite considerable, actually, if you're committed, really you stay engaged in the group and you carry on over that long period of time, it is actually really very cost effective, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, I'm not perfect, and I do like a glass of wine now and again, and I do have a glass of wine now and again. But I do actually, because I've not been doing those things, because I did the Fed Up to Fabulous program and over the 3 months, and I did stick to it rigidly over those 3 months. Now I can truly understand the impact of sugars in my diet, and it, you know, it doesn't always make me feel good, but it is an informed choice. So I do make a decision now and again. You know, if I'm out for a meal, I will have a glass of wine. But it's an informed choice. Yeah,
and it's a choice that you know then how to get back on track, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that it was 3 months, so it really helped in terms of forming new habits. So you know,
Yeah.
and the fact that it is lifetime access and I can log back on really helps. And yes, I will be on the 10th of October.
And we look forward to having you back again. I know as well, you get lots of support from all the ladies that have done it before, who maybe not doing it this time in quite so much depth, but they're still engaged and still staying accountable as well, aren't they? So
yeah, certainly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa. Really do appreciate you coming on this evening to just share that result with everybody.
That's all right, no problem.
Lots of love for you in the chat box as well. So,
Bless.
So accountability will help you achieve the results you're looking for. If you're like Lisa, you've been on diets for most of your adult life, is it time to invest in you? Is it time to make a difference, to put your own mask on first? Like I said, if you don't have your own mask on, you can't look after everybody around you. And sometimes in order to make the changes, we need to be willing to do something a little bit different. We need to stop treating ourselves like an afterthought and actually start prioritizing ourselves. We buy mobile phones, we buy fancy cars, but we don't invest in ourselves. And actually, now is the time to invest in yourself. So by Christmas, you could be feeling completely different. By this time next year, you could be on here like Lisa is, giving that testimonial because you've radically transformed your life. So you want to know how much it costs? Of course you do. You can make a one-time payment in full of £575. You can do 3 payments of £199 a month for 3 months. Or you can do option 3, which is a payment plan of £99 a month for 7 months, if that works for you. You've got lifetime access, don't forget. So if you did the £99 a month for 7 months, you can keep repeating it. We'll do it again starting in January and again in April. So you can do it as many times as you want to. But it's an investment in you as a person, and how you feel long term. If you tried all the diets out there, and you're still heavier than you were before, you're still feeling miserable, why not do something a little bit different? There is no other program out there like Fed Up to Fabulous. You will feel fully supported, you will be held fully accountable, you will learn so much more, even more than you did on the sugar-free challenge last week, and you will be doing it for you. But more importantly then, you'll be doing it for your loved ones around you, because you will be feeling so much better. And they will get so much more of you, because you'll have more energy, you'll feel more alive, you'll feel more confident, and you will feel fabulous. You will go from Fed Up to Fabulous, I promise you. So if you want to know more about the Fed Up to Fabulous program, you can go onto my website and take a look at it. I'm just going to put the link into the box for you right now, and you can just click that link and go over there, but you will also get an email with the details of it as well. On the website, it is just the one payment plan of £199 for 3 months. If you want to pay in full, or you want to do the £99 a month, do just drop me a message and I can send you a separate link to get that set up. Mainly because I couldn't get 3 buttons on my website to choose, and that's got to be done, something that's got to be done by a web designer further down the line. So if you're happy just to do the £199 a month for 3 months, just go through that web link. If you want to do the payment plan, just drop me a message, have a look at the page, and then drop me a message, and I can send you a link specifically for that program, or for that payment plan. So the reason why you are all here now this evening is because, oh yeah, the first 3 people to register will receive a 30-minute personal goal setting call. I forgot to say that bit. 2 people have already registered. Places are limited. And those two of you that have already registered, you know who you are. You will get this goal setting call with me as well. But if the next 3 people to register will also get this goal setting call. So it'll be a one-to-one call on Zoom. We will talk through your personal goals and create a bit of a plan for you. And you everyone will also get a little bit of a check-in call as we go along as well. So the reason why you are here, if you want to find out who has won the prizes, I'm just going to stop my share. First of all, before I go through the prizes, I will just check see if there's any questions in here. Okay. Okay, so what's that question? Did I miss you discussing sweetness? I still find it difficult to not have sweetness in my tea and coffee. I'm using decaf, but it's jumping around all over the place for me. Do me a favour, whoever just posted that, I can't see it now, it's disappeared off my screen. Oh no, hang on, but not sure why sweetness were bad. Do you ever work with type 1 diabetics? My husband is one, and I'm curious if your meals, yes, your meals, absolutely, the meals can reduce his insulin spikes for sure. So I would definitely recommend following some of the meal programs that I provided with the 7-day sugar-free challenge. And sweeteners are bad because most sweeteners are artificial sweeteners. Stevia is the only real natural sweetener that comes from the bark of a particular tree. So it's not a chemical sweetener. Most sweeteners are chemical sweeteners, so they put pressure on your liver. And obviously we talked about liver not working efficiently, so we want your liver to be working efficiently so that you can convert fats back into fuel. But also when you take anything sweet onto your tongue, a message is sent to your pancreas to start releasing insulin. So even though the sweeteners don't have the calories in, they still result in the insulin spike and the insulin crash. So you'll still be on a blood sugar roller coaster. So you really want to be trying to reduce down your, if you're having sweeteners in tea and coffee. I did speak to someone the other day, she said, oh, I don't know, it was about 5 cups of tea, coffee a day with a teaspoon of sugar in. I'm going to change to sweeteners. And I said, well, why don't you just not drink coffee for a while so that you're not having any sweeteners or any sugar? And she was like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that. So that is another way you could do hot water with lemon if that worked for you, to kind of, if it is just having a hot drink. But if you are having sweeteners in your coffee, you are going to be putting pressure on your liver and you're still going to be on a blood roller coaster. Okay. I can't hear you, Sue. Am I the only one? Was anybody else struggling to hear? I hope not. Now I can't get down. Going to the bathroom a couple of times to the night disrupts my sleep. Yes, okay. But if your liver is working properly, even though you go to the bathroom, you will go back into deep quality sleep. So going to the bathroom, if you're staying awake or staying in a lighter phase of sleep, then that is a sign that your liver is still not working properly. Let me see. I've been screaming lemon hot water every morning for a few years now, and I've seen such an improvement in my skin. Yeah. Totally, Teresa, totally. When I spoke to my doctor about getting 1.5 hours deep sleep, he said quite sarcastically, that is probably about all any of us get these days. Yeah, that is helpful, isn't it? That's what you want to hear from your doctor. Yep, get your 15-year-old to keep you accountable. Perfect. I went for a coffee with a friend today, and we had cake. I only have it. It was so sweet and I didn't like it. And yeah, in just a week, you can really start to change your taste buds, Julie. You really can. Berberis and milk thistle can, okay, I'm not going to go there on that one. I'm not going to comment on that because it's a dangerous area to comment on. I'm sorry, Jackie. I'm doing fasting on 9-day festival. Yeah, okay. So if you don't until tomorrow, yes, totally, your knee pain is reduced. If your knee pain is reduced, use that as the driver, Druti, to not go back to consuming sugar. Meg, I put it in the thing in the box, and an email has come out. Yes, difference in your face. Yes, the difference was incredible, Teresa. Oh, you want to know the winners, don't you? I was just going to log off then, when you were all going to go, but the winners. So you have to be in it to win it on this one. So if you're not on here, I move on to the next person. Okay. So the person that has won a 12-week transformation program on Fed Up to Fabulous is Janet Topple. Is Janet on here? If you are on here, Janet, please feel free to unmute yourself. I can't see everybody. Let me just see if I can find Janet. If she's on here, Janet, you have won it. If you haven't, I'm going to move on to the next person. I hate it when that happens. I feel so bad because I feel so bad. It's like, but you have to be on it to win it. I don't think she's on here, is she? No, can't see her. No. Okay, right, I'm moving on to the next person then. So the person that then has won the Fed Up to Fabulous 12-week trip, I'm going to just, before I say it, I'm going to make sure she's on it before I say it. I don't think she's on here either. Oh no, I'm going to have to announce a few more because I've only got 4. So the second person was Dawn Hooper, but I don't think Dawn Hooper is on here either. So then the third person then is the third person is Maxine Fisher. Is Maxine on here? I did see Maxine on here.
I'm here.
You are. Maxine, you have won a free place on the Fed Up to Fabulous program.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy.
I will be in touch with you, Maxine, with all the details, okay? But really well done, and well done for staying engaged this week, and you will love it. You will absolutely get so much out of it if you stay engaged and really focus on it. All the ladies that have won the free plays before have always just really engaged with it and just got such a great result. So really well done, Maxine. Looking forward to working with you. So Maxine, you won the 12-week Fed Up to Fabulous program, and then I have I should have 2 more prizes, but I've only got 1 more name. So the first person that won a place on the Why Wait program is Margie. Is Margie on here? Margie Chevet. So you on here? You have won a place on the Why Wait program. What?
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, Margie, you've won the Why Wait program. The way I choose this is I get my daughter, I say to my daughter, can you choose a number between 1 and 7? So she says 5. So then I said to her, now choose them, depending on how many comments are on that accountability post, I'll then get her to choose 4 numbers. So Margie, I have won the place on Why Wait, and I'm going to have to pick the 5th one because there were 2 names that I picked and they weren't on here. So I'll announce it into the group who has won the other Why Wait program tomorrow. Okay. So look out for that in the Facebook group. So has anyone got any other questions this evening before we finish? Well done, everybody. You should be really pleased. You should all be really pleased about the progress that you made this week. You all made fantastic progress. And I'm so proud of you. I really am. I absolutely love running this week, and really well done for staying engaged, for coming on the webinar tonight, and just really wanting to kickstart your well-being. So thank you, everyone. You are all superstars. This group will stay open until Friday. Yes, it does. So you've got till Friday to catch up with all the videos and stuff. And then I will close the group. And the next time I run the Sugar Free Challenge will be in January. So you'll get notification about that if you wanted to do it again as well. If you've got a great week this week and you really enjoyed it and you wanted to do it again, then you are very welcome to do it as many times as you want to. So you've got a link to the Fed Up to Fabulous program, but you will get an email with a link to it as well. And as I said, the first 3 people that sign up will get a one-to-one coaching session with me as well. So thank you so much for joining this evening. I do hope you manage to stay 90% sugar-free from here on in. You've got the tools now, you've got the techniques, you know what to do. We've already talked about the things that you could do to help improve your sleep and to get your blood sugars balanced. If you do have any questions, stick them in the Facebook group before Friday and tag me into it. I'll make sure I answer it. But try and keep yourself accountable. Like Teresa said, get someone to keep you accountable so that you're staying on track, and keep that food diary as well, because that really does help to keep you focused as well and helps you understand how food makes you feel. For those of you that have already joined Fed Up to Fabulous, I'm really looking forward to working with you. For those of you that are going to join, I'm looking forward to working with you as well. You will get more information from me about it over the course of this week. I've loved working with you. Thank you so much for being so engaged and so supportive in the group. Have a great rest of the evening, and I'll speak to some of you very soon. If anyone wants to talk more about the Fed Up to Fabulous program and get it clear in your mind, feel free to drop me a message and we can get on the telephone and have a conversation about it as well. So I'm here at your disposal to answer any questions that you do have. So have a great week, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Look forward to seeing some of you on Fed Up to Fabulous. Look forward to seeing some of you on the next 7-day sugar-free challenge. It's always worth that £10 investment, and I will see you all very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Bye.